Here's a little piece for the treble that I found recently, slightly by accident. I was looking for something else and found this in the process. It's a set of divisions, very simple, but I think very effective, on the tune Une Jeune Fillette. Very popular, well-known chanson that started life as a solo song, and then the tune got borrowed, as these things do, by various people and used as the basis for other pieces. There's a whole set of fantasias by Ducourroy in varying numbers of parts where one person has the tune all the way through. And this is just a set of simple but very pretty divisions based on that tune. If you don't know the melody to start with, you get it unornamented here. So the very first phrase is just straight as it is in the original. Then you get the ornamented version, but in the original song you just get a repeat. And then in this case, the second section starts at bar 9. And then here we get an ornamented version of it, but in the song you just get a repeat. It's a very simple melody, worth just playing it a few times to learn it to start with. It's not a very cheerful song. It's about a young lady who is made to become a nun against her will, and so she lives vit en grande douleur. She lives in great sadness and great misery because she didn't want to become a nun in the first place. So not a terribly cheerful theme. It's not going to be a very lively song, but a really beautiful tune. So let's have a look from the top. I'm inclined to play this in half position because it means you can have the D, the G and the B flat all down. You could start in first and reach back. That would be completely acceptable. And if you've got big hands and long fingers, you might choose to do that. But I think I'm going to start in half position. But then maybe here, 2, 4, 1, to get the A and the D on adjacent strings. Starting on a back bow, but not a whole bow. Maybe half, maybe a third. There's a bowing decision in there. I've bowed it straight through. You could tuck here. I find it a little bit intrusive. It's a short phrase, it's a sung melodic line. Let's just be as uninterrupted as possible. But having said that, just think about the relative importance of different syllables in that word. So in the second full bar, I think the E of Fillette is stronger than the T. So the A, that's the minim, stronger, and the crotchet weaker. Does that make sense? Strong, weak. Slightly overdid it that time, but you get the idea. Here we go, from the top. I'm going to count in crotchets. So we'll have 1, 2, 3. Should we play on? So just looking at that second phrase. When you start to get the divisions in, I think they should be as unobtrusive as you can make them. Just like you're making it up as you go along. You haven't planned this great instrumental, fancy, dance-like thing. If you didn't know it was a song, you'd look at bar 6 and think, okay, it's a bit like an owl main, isn't it? But I'm not sure you can do that in this context, so I'm going for a really smooth line. So I'm not stopping the dot. The note carries right the way through, never taking the pressure off with this hand. Shall we try the upbeat to bar 5? 1, 2, 3. The one in bar 7 has a slightly different shape to that one that turns round on itself, the bar before. Maybe you could be a little bit more skippy about that one, but I wouldn't risk getting properly baroque in your dots. Upbeat to bar 5 once more. 1, 2, 3. Should we go from the top and play both of those phrases so you get used to the unornamented version, and then you can hear the divisions as just an added but unobtrusive extra from the beginning. 1, 2, 3. In bar 4, where are you in the bow at the end of that minim? Have you got enough left to play the final crotchet of that bar? Or have you used the whole thing? Or have you not used any and you've got miles left? I wonder if you can arrange to be about there. So you're going to do another back bow, but without needing to retake anything. Let's do the beginning once more with that in mind when we get to bar 4. 1, 2, 3. Where are you in the bow? Should we go on? Second. I think this really needs to start on a back bow. Whether it starts on a 4th finger or an open string is really up to you. I started mine on a 4. Just watch, when you start a back bow, and you are going to use the whole bow for this, just be careful when you start at the heel that your wrist is not stuck in this position. Because what we'll hear at the beginning is that, and it's really not very pleasant. So we want to hear this in a nice, open, relaxed way. And if somebody just came along and poked your wrist, the note would start, or on the top string where we are here. So if you're in like that, what we hear first is this terrible crunch while your wrist sorts itself out. So start that back bow with this already in that position, not this. Because the further out your elbow is, the further in your wrist will be. So this is really relaxed, and this is in an open back bow position. So that's in bar 9, and I am going to go for the whole bow. This is another place where you could consider tucking at the end of this bar to sort this out. But then what? Are you going to do it again here? By the time you've done that, I think I would rather just keep playing and have an uninterrupted line where some of our crotchets are stronger and weaker than others, but we don't put that absolute break in where we put the tuck. So I would bow it through. Weak. And here we are back at the tip. And the right way round. So we get one little phrase in the middle that's backwards, but it actually really usefully moves us back to the tip of the bow. And I think life's too short to bother with all of those corrections. Shall we try it from 9? You take your pick about whether you're on the top string or the 4, but definitely a back bow, and just watch that this wrist is nice and open. Bar 9. 2, 3, 4. We really do need the top string this time. I did a few things in there that I hadn't told you about. So this time, this phrase needs to start on the top string and at the tip of the bow. We started there, didn't we, before? But with the decorated version, because we're going up to the E flat, we need to be on the top string, and because of the dotted rhythm, the extra note, we need to start at the tip. How smooth and unobtrusive can you make those? No. Don't put your marée head on there. Really smooth. How little can you make your semiquavers? And then I would play here. First position. Tiny semiquavers. Reaching back for the B flats. And then this time I did correct the bowing. This is the end of bar 20. I took another back bow on the final crotchet, because otherwise you're backwards for all of this and it bothers me. Now here, these, if you bow them out, I think, if you're not careful, it sounds a bit like a shotgun going off, which is not entirely the effect we're after. I would just leave them late, slur them in, so just keep the bow moving. Tiny little flick of your forefinger, almost imperceptible. And it's the end you might just drag out a little bit rather than straight on into the buffers at the end. Just give it a chance to relax a bit. Just take your time. Does that make sense? So we're looking for it to be small and tidy and unobtrusive with the bow. This is bar 17, where that second phrase starts in the decorated version. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should we just try a version of that that's slightly slower? This is bar 17, but just a bit under speed. Let's slow our crotchets down slightly. We'll try 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I nearly ran out of fingers at the end then. You need, in the penultimate bar, It's much better with a 2 on that G, because then you've got the 4. Just easier than, it's not impossible, is it, to have a 3 on the G, but it's just not quite as convenient. So, nothing too complicated, but very pretty, I think. Shall we play it through? I've recorded a sort of lute-ish version of the harpsichord part that's given here. So what you'll hear is a metronome ticking to counters in. It's counting in crotchets, and we'll get a whole bar and then 3, and then we have the upbeat together before the lute plays on the downbeat. So now how about I play you a recording just of the accompanying part. You'll get the same metronome ticks in at the beginning, but there's nobody playing the upbeat with you this time, so don't wait for anybody. Just go straight ahead on that 4th beat.